sweet welcome to you, Mega, and to everyone else in the room. May it be that you're with us live, you might be joining us live later, or you might be watching this recording online on social media, on our website, wherever it is. Welcome. Today, I have something very excited that I want to speak to you about and want to share with you. This masterclass is called Invoking the Vegan Era. And it's a very epic title, I know. And I'll tell you the story on how this started coming to me, or how this started becoming alive in my mind and in my consciousness. But first of all, Mega, I think you're joining in from India. That's what I picked up from the accent, correct?
Yeah, I'm originally from India, but I live in Burnaby in Canada currently.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
But you are right about the accent.
Well, the beautiful accent doesn't fade, as it should. It's a beautiful one. Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that everyone else is here. What I want to walk you through today, and where I wish you to be at after this masterclass, is to have a deeper understanding on why it is that even though veganism is such a beautiful act of compassion and love, most of the world is pushing it away. They are triggered by it. They are not fond of it. They do call us extremists, which is funny if you think of it, right? Like, who's actually the extreme ones here? And I want to give some more clarity on how come we ended up here as a vegan community. Because if you meet other vegans, most of the time we are very loving humans. We are very kind towards one another, and we are very open-minded, right? Because I know for me, it took an open mind in order to embrace veganism and to welcome it into my life. A little bit about me, by the way. My name is June, as you know, and I grew up in Switzerland, a country of cheese, milk, and milk chocolate, of fondue and raclette, and all of those traditional meals that require a lot of pain and suffering for animals to be put on table. So for me, it was quite a big pivot, and I did have to let go of a lot of culture and tradition roots, and the belief that those were important to me in order to make the step to becoming vegetarian, which was back in 2016, 2017, and eventually vegan, which was in 2018, 2019, like on that verge. So now I see you, Mega, your camera is working. But as long as your microphone is off inside of the recording, others won't see you, just so you know. Yeah. So you can go and dance and be a freak. Nobody will know. Sweet. As I said, it took me a lot of movement to get there. And once I turned vegan, and this is where the key point of why we start repelling people comes in, a lot of emotions awakened in me that were not unfamiliar, but to the extent that they came alive in me was a bit unfamiliar and a bit overwhelming. Speaking of emotions such as anger, frustration, sadness, a lot of grief, and also guilt, feeling guilty for consuming animal products all those years before, right? And I see you head nodding, and I know everyone who I speak to, they can relate. Every vegan can relate to this. Now, eventually, this anger and frustration, it can lead us to become more active, right? To be like, I'm going to raise my voice, I'm going to speak up for the animals more, and I'm going to do something now, which is an amazing, amazing way of starting things off. However, what I want to talk about today is what happens when we enter any type of activism or advocacy from a place of anger and frustration. I want to introduce you today to a very cool tool, a piece of research by Dr. David Hawkins. He has developed and established multiple books, and he's a lecturer. He's quite old by now and very, very wise human. What he established was the so-called map of consciousness. The map of consciousness gives us a layout on the human emotions and what type of views and perspectives they relate to. That's one of the things that I want to teach you today. Because it gives you a very clear understanding of what state of consciousness which emotion is rooted in, and it will give you an understanding of operating from a different state of consciousness that actually does create impact versus operating from one that does not at all create impact. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and just think back to a couple of the conversations that you've been having with your friends that aren't vegan yet or that are far from it. Maybe some of them are vegetarians. And as I think of it, and as you think of it, to be very, very honest with ourselves, how many of those people in our environment have we inspired to become vegan? Now, if it's everyone for you, amazing, amazing. Like, I'm celebrating over here if that's the case. But for most of us, it isn't. Oftentimes, family members, close friends, they're not vegans. And even in this case, if I'm honest, a good handful of the people around me aren't vegan. They're very close to it, but like they haven't fully dedicated. They haven't fully committed. So what is happening there? How come the people that we care about and the people that do care about us aren't carrying and acting based on love and compassion, right? Feel free to open your eyes again. I see there's one other person trying to join in. So let's see whenever that happens. The core foundation of the Freedom Quest. Hey, Altab, welcome. Nice to have you. The core foundation of the Freedom Quest was this simple question of what is lacking in an individual, in a vegan individual's life that is not giving us access to like inspire the people around us, especially the close ones, to go vegan. Because like if I think about it, somebody that cares about you, a friend, they care about what you think and they love to, give and receive feedback, and they're close to you and you can have deep conversations with them. However, though, when it comes to veganism, that hardly happens, does it? They're like, nope, you do your thing. I respect you and you need to respect me. Actually, I had a conversation with my partner recently, and he's a very positive person, like very open-minded, very positive. And eventually he brought to my home, he brought tempeh chips. Tempeh is a fermented type of soy. And there was egg in the process, and he's never done that. And I also asked him specifically to respect, when you come to my temple, please do not bring any animal produce. So a couple of years ago, I would have been extremely triggered by that. And I know a lot of us are, when our loved ones bring home something or eat something in front of us, it can trigger the hell out of us, right? This time I wasn't really triggered, which I want to give you the tools to with the map of consciousness in a moment. However, back to the story, what happened there is we opened a conversation and it was a little deep, right? And immediately he went into avoiding. And I was like, okay, avoidance. So in my mind, working with the map of consciousness, I could scan, okay, what emotion is avoidance coming from? Where is that coming from? So instead of taking it personal and letting my emotional landscape overflood the conversation and my triggers become the dominant point of focus, I actually zoomed in on his emotion. And I asked him, hold on, why is this uncomfortable for you? And he was like, well, because I respect you and it doesn't seem like you're respecting me. And I was like, okay, so what do you feel? Why is this uncomfortable for you? Because that wasn't the answer, was it? So we layered it back, and eventually we came to the conclusion that there was pressure. Pressure, and the emotion under it was fear of judgment, fear of being judged, fear of being pushed away by friends, fear of being seen as the weird one, the extremist. So instead of actually zooming in on, why he should go vegan, I zoomed in on what is happening inside of your emotional landscape. And are you capable of letting that go? Are you capable of letting that go? And he was like, well, yeah. And although he hasn't claimed, I'm going to be vegan from now on, I've observed over the time that we've been together, like the meals that he's enjoying, there's no more meat and there's hardly any animal products. And instead of pushing, I also realized sometimes a sprout needs a little bit of time to grow into a tree. Just a little bit, a little bit of nourishment, a little bit of space, a little bit of sunlight to grow into a tree. So the core of the Freedom Quest and the core of this education platform that I've been building with the team is providing answers to questions like this, and especially providing answers and guidance on how can we inspire the people around us, our friend garden, let's call it, to actually blossom into their vegan selves, into their more compassionate selves. So let me show you the map of consciousness, and let us dive into that for a moment. Here we go. So just shortly before I dive into the map, I wanted to highlight that Dr. David Hawkins, he is often mistaken with Dr. David Hawkin, which is, as far as I know, a quantum physician, and he's quite famous. You must have seen him. He has, I'm not sure what syndrome he has, but he is paralyzed, but a very, very smart mind. That's not this guy. This guy is a different guy. So I want to make clear that there is a distinction, a differentiation. I know this is a lot of words. So we're going to take a moment of time to lean into this map. As you can see, and I want to draw your attention to the middle part of the map, you have the column that says level, and you have one that says scale. On the level column, if we go all the way to the bottom, you see there's shame, there's guilt, apathy, and grief in red, and there's a number next to that. Now that number is designed and just created as a point of orientation. It isn't related to any frequencies. Sometimes people believe, oh, this might be related to like frequencies or hertz. It is not. It's just an orientation point. Above the red ones, we have fear, desire, and anger from 100 to 150. And then we have the bright yellow ones, pride and courage. And you see in between those, there's a big fat red line. How could you miss it? Right. It's a big fat red line. So what's happening here is we have two dominant, let's call them pools of consciousness. One of them are the lower states of consciousness, the ones beneath the red line. And if you reflect on your own life and you think of moments you felt fear, you felt guilt, you felt shame, you felt anger, and if you're honest with yourself, it didn't really feel that good. It didn't really feel that good, especially the lower ones of guilt and shame, apathy. We do not have any impact if we are stuck there, and if our dominant state of consciousness, which means the time of the day that we feel that way, is the longest. So to make an example, think of something that makes you feel ashamed, and you have that feeling throughout the day most of the time. Then your dominant state of consciousness is in the shame level. Now, the question that I want to raise here specifically, since we talk about veganism and we talk about having impact as vegans, is where do we think the global human vegan community, where do we think their state of consciousness is at most of the time? See, there's somebody else joining in, just letting them roll in. You can put it in the comments, by the way. And this is a thinker, huh? We're going to take a moment for this. This is a thinker. Hello, Cambria. Welcome to the Masterclass. We are just looking at the map of consciousness. You tuned in a little late, but that's oh, from the outside. I love it. All the trees in the background. Sweet. Just for the sake of audio clarity, I'll be muting you because this is recorded and people can watch it later on. I see anger. Yeah, let's scout through our vegan friendship circles. Who of those vegans are angry vegans? Quite a lot of them, huh? A lot of them are in anger. What other states of consciousness does one believe, or do we think a lot of vegans are stuck in or are operating from? Because essentially, if you're stuck in a state of consciousness, a level of consciousness, you're operating from it. Even though you don't want to, let me make an example. You're vegan, you try to be kind and compassionate. And that's the issue already. If you're trying to be it, you realize I'm actually not operating from that state naturally. And that affects the words that you choose. It affects the energy you bring to the table when you speak in a conversation, like a little group setting, dinner table setting. It affects so much more than one believes it does. Angry vegan, Saltop says. Yeah, 90%. It's true. Anger is one of the most dominant states of consciousness in the vegan community. There is also desire, very present, very dominant, the desire to make someone else change, the desire to force them to move forward. Now, although the core of veganism is in the upper states of consciousness, from courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, joy, peace, and enlightenment, those are more in resonance with what veganism is about, right? So here you start recognizing the issue with why most of the world isn't vegan yet. Because veganism happens in willingness, it happens in reason. Let's point out Earthling Ed, for example. Earthling Ed's style of veganism or style of vegan advocacy is very reasonable. He's very strong in reason. Love, joy, and peace, those are most often advocates that are maybe a little bit spiritual, a little bit into mindfulness, and they advocate from a place of love, of reason, or even joyfully spreading the message that veganism is an amazing way to live. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful at its core. So there is a disconnect. There's a disconnect happening. If we operate from a state of consciousness beneath the red line, and we do want to achieve an awakening of the state of consciousness above the red line, that doesn't work. It does not work. It will never work. Because alike attracts alike. So if you're speaking to someone from an accepting and a reasonable point of view, they are automatically invited to tune into that state of consciousness, and they'll automatically get to their, I get it. It makes sense now. That's where they end up. Just going into the comments for a moment. Seeing Altaf message, I mess up when the need comes up of having the difficult conversation with transitional vegans. It has been brought to our notice that group members are gifting each other non-vegan stuff, knowing very well that there are alternatives available in the market. And then it's being promoted on WhatsApp status. It's like betraying and mocking the suffering of cows and buffaloes. This is our humble request to every member here. If you're not vegan and have no intent to become vegan, please, please, please leave the group. Well, this is a great question. Could I have handled it better? Let's actually do that right now. That's a really good way to look at it. So this map of consciousness, before we go over to the left and the right side on the map, it functions like a filter, right? You basically take this like a filter, you place it on a scenario or on a conversation, on a happening, and this is a great scenario we can have a look at, right? So when somebody in a vegan community gifts one another in a community or shares or promotes non-vegan products, restaurants, services, obviously to the vegans it feels like a betrayal because we're looking at it from the animal's point of view. Most of the time we're looking at it from the animal point of view. However, what it does is it awakens an emotion in us, which is completely unrelated to what the animals experience. It awakens an emotion in us, right? The animal doesn't experience the anger that we experience. The animal most of the time is in fear, scared. That's where the animal is most of the time. Good thing we aren't. Sad for the animal that it is. We're working to change that. Now, when you're requesting someone, right, from a point of view of this is disrespectful. What most of the time, when you say that to another human being, how does their mind, and especially their ego mind, respond to that? It perceives it as a judgment. Ooh, and then the mind comes up with, ooh, who are you to tell me? Fuck off, and all of that, right? That's then the voices that happen up here. If we perceive judgment, and the ego lives strongly in us. The ego, by the way, lives most of the time in the lower states of consciousness as well. That's the ego mind. That's the I, or I versus the world mindset. And everything above is the we. We operate for the best interest of ourselves and everyone else. So what's happening there is you're humbly requesting from a reasonable point of view to leave the group, which is a great approach, right? You're coming from reason. However, one thing that one could integrate here, for example, is instead of requesting something, one could ask the question. Like, just turn your request into a question. Just be like, this is a vegan space. Veganism is all about ABC to me. And in my perspective, it doesn't make sense. What do you think? So you're actually calling people into getting up into reason, starting to, finish their thought patterns, create those new brain synapses so that they can come up with the conclusion of like, oh, actually, it's pretty stupid of me to post that here. That's where we want them to be, but not we telling them, right? We don't want to tell them. We want them to realize that themselves, because the moment they realize is the moment they integrate the information and the moment they can take action on it and change their behavior. Make sense? Our ego got hurt. Yeah. And this, as we're going into this a little bit, and I think it's nice to do that actually, because it's a great example, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to situations like that. If we're going into this spiral here, what did we do in the end, right? In the end, even though we came from a point of reason, maybe it was a bit sharp, maybe it was a bit spicy how we reacted, depending on your characteristics, right? A lot of vegans are a bit more spicy, a bit more fierce. Some are a little more humble, a little more soft. But eventually what happened there is, from her to her being embodied vegan, we created distance. And you see, this is where it gets really interesting, because a lot of people think the approach to help somebody go vegan or go vegan faster is to confront them. And sometimes that works. However, if I review the past half a decade since the term veganism came up, which was 1966, by the way, or 67, that's when the word actually was invented, or was brought to the language and the dictionaries. If I look back on that last half a decade, we're still under 3% of the global human population that is vegan. So somehow all those approaches of confronting people and pushing them and confronting them, it doesn't seem to ripple the world into a vegan direction faster and faster. There is stuff happening. There's more people's coming alive, and that's amazing, right? However, we're not where we wish to be for planet Earth and for the animals, most importantly. We're not where we wish to be. So maybe there is a better approach. And this is why I'm doing this masterclass today with you, Invoking the Vegan Era, because I truly believe that when we invoke an era of peace and kindness on planet Earth, we can truly only do it from the upper states of consciousness. From the upper states of consciousness. And the lower states of consciousness, they infiltrate our thoughts and our words and our behaviors. So every time a conversation comes up with a pre-vegan and we engage with that, the practice will be to keep oneself in check and understand, am I acting and behaving, am I speaking from pride right now? Or am I speaking from anger right now? Because every time I do that, it will push people away to rise up into the higher state of consciousness. Makes sense, right? Seeing some more information on the scenario that you shared earlier, Altab. Yeah. Yeah. It didn't work, right? It didn't work the way that you approached it. It came from reason. It came from a pure intention, which is the core foundation of it. However, though, if we can be a little more aware of emotional intelligence, we'll manage to use that to the advantage of the greatest good for all. Planet Earth, the animals, ourselves, and them eventually as well. Because even though the word veganism in our world, in our existence, is extremely, extremely clear, right? We've been vegan for a while. We know what it's all about. To a lot of people, it still remains unclear what it is truly about. So we are still in a phase where we are starting, as the Masterclass says, to invoke the vegan era. We are still at the beginning stages of starting to have the environment understand what this word truly is about. That it is about reason, love, joy, and peace. That's the work that awaits us. That's why we have been sent to this planet. That's why we have realized, oh, damn, veganism is important. I got to go vegan. It's one of the most important things to do right now. Right? That's why it doesn't feel like just an lifestyle decision. It feels like a higher calling. It feels like a dharma, a purpose, right? You're fulfilling a part of your life purpose by taking that responsibility. Seeing a question, how would you have handled it? I think it would have been better to talk to them directly and question, like, do you need any help? Are you struggling with going vegan? Something more polite and sensitive. Yeah, for example, right? Or to just point out, hey, this is a vegan space, and I just want to check in with you. What you're sharing isn't vegan. Were you aware of that, right? Like, take one step back, because maybe they are really not aware of that. Maybe they really weren't. So that's how, yeah, pretty much how I would have handled it as well. Now, I want to highlight a couple more things on this map of consciousness. By the way, I'll provide you with all of that later on. Welcome, Francis. Hello. So if you have a look at the left column here on the map of consciousness, you'll see that to every level of consciousness, there is a life view and a God view. A life view and a God view. What does that mean? The life view basically means you feel life, or your perspective on life is like this. So for example, if you're in the state of desire, your life view is disappointing. Gosh, the world isn't vegan yet. This is so fucking disappointing, right? Oh, indicator, your thoughts, your state of consciousness right now, desire. The God view, God meaning the universe, the higher force of all creation, meaning GOD, generation, order, destruction. Getting WhatsApp calls in. Let me just turn that off. There we go. Meaning we view God, or like the higher force, the higher power of creation, the universe, whatever terminology aligns more with you. If you have religious backgrounds, maybe there is the name or names of different gods. All of them included in this column. God is just one of the choices here, of wordings. You view God, or your perspective, your relationship to that is, let's say, vengeful if you're in anger. It's denying if you're in desire. So you deny that there is a higher force at play. Yes, I see Cambria has a question. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Or ask it in the chat, whatever works best for you. I think you're unmuted. You can ask. Oh, I don't think your audio is coming through. So I'm just going to invite you to use the chat function to ask your question, and then I'll get to it in a moment. On the right side of the map of consciousness, we have the columns emotion and process. The emotion is the predominant emotion that you're feeling when you're in a state of consciousness. For example, beautiful state of consciousness, reason. If you're in reason, your most dominant emotion is understanding. You understand things. A lot of people become vegan because they are raising their level of consciousness into reason. They start understanding the bigger picture, the relation of this meal on my plate and the chain of happenings. They get into the reason state of consciousness. The state of consciousness of acceptance, for example, is forgiveness, right? You also, when you go vegan, there's a level that you have to start forgiving yourself for your past actions and behaviors, unless you were born vegan. Bless you if that was the case, and bless your parents. But if that wasn't the case, there's a process of forgiving yourself. Makes sense, huh? However, fear creates anxiety, or the dominant emotion there is anxiety. Desire is craving, seeking. Huh? Anger is hatred. I hate the world. I hate the world. I hate all the non-vegans. If that is your sub-program in the mind, you will not inspire anyone really to go vegan, right? Because you want to invite them into a higher state of consciousness to share this dharma, this purpose, this love and compassion with you. Huh? You don't want to me versus you, because the more me versus you, the bigger you build that bridge, unless you can pick them up and get them up into reason. But that's a very challenging scenario. So you have to be like very sharp and very precise with your advocacy words and your phrasing. Let's say in an outreach conversation or in a one-on-one debate, you have to be very sharp and very present to do that. So why not just let your state of consciousness do more of the work for you? The process on the right side, as the last column, is the process that's initiated if you remain, or if your predominant state of consciousness is, let's say, neutrality, for example. Neutrality creates a release process. So if you become neutral towards something, you release a lot. That can happen on a physical level, that can happen on the mental landscape, a lot of, clutter that's acquired in the mind. For example, willingness creates intention. That's the intention process. Illumination, peace. Yeah. So this is the map of consciousness. This is what we're working with. It's also interesting, by the way, as I've laid out here, you see the different colors, right? If you're familiar with the chakra system, the energy center system, there is 7 main chakra or main energy centers in the human body, and those have a corresponding color. So those colors here also correspond to that chakra system. Let's say if grief, apathy, guilt, and shame, it starts physically manifesting issues around your hips, around your lower belly. If you're stuck in fear, desire, anger, it starts physically manifesting issues around your mid-belly, your mid-torso area, in those organ failures and stuff, for example. That's another fun parallel to draw. There's many more in the map of consciousness. It's a really beautiful tool to work with. Now let me check the comments if there's any questions. I don't think so. Nope. Yep. Mega has a question. I have trouble speaking with people who gave mixed signals. They say it's bad when we are doing to the animals, but they still say we can't do anything. I keep on asking more questions, but seems like they turn off themselves when it comes to them changing their habits. Yeah. So where on the map of consciousness could they possibly be if that is their thought pattern, their belief? Guilt, fear. Uh-huh. Guilt and fear. Yeah. How about apathy? Have a look at apathy. On the left, you have life view. I view life hopeless. It doesn't make sense anyway. Emotion, despair. Ah, they're in apathy. Damn it, right? They're in apathy. Not fun for them. Really not fun for them. Now, what's happening when they're in apathy, and apathy is a very tricky one, I tell you, because it comes with like boredom, being like indifferent. It doesn't matter anyway, right? That's what we hear oftentimes. That person is in the state of consciousness of apathy. Apathy also shows up for people if they think they don't feel. Like, I don't think I have feelings, or I don't really feel much, then you're actually in apathy, which is a state of consciousness relating to feeling numb. It's also a feeling. Right? So what I usually do is when somebody comes with that mindset, I'm like, let's have a look at, oh, there's an echo. Just gonna mute you for a moment, Camry. I see you raised your hand. If you want to ask any questions, put them in the chat. There's a chat function. Give me a thumbs up if you, oh, you good. You found it. Amazing. What I usually do is I ask them if they think of people that inspire them. Who would they think of? Like, oh, what's a person that has actually created some good impact in the world? Now, one of the names that comes up here and there is Tony Robbins, for example, right? Regardless if he's vegan or not, for now, we're just going to put that aside. But Tony Robbins, he's made himself a name. He's a very inspiring person. Like, he's really bringing people into courage to move forward. Does he do that by intellectually choosing a lot of words? No. He's not in the state of reason. That's not his state of consciousness. His state of consciousness is pendling between courage and acceptance. Right? So like, he evokes courage in people because he operates from that state of being. So when I ask somebody in a conversation and they say it doesn't matter anyway, I'm like, imagine your idol, or name some people that you really inspire them. Imagine them having that mindset. Where would they be now? Yeah, nowhere, right? Exactly. So it starts with that. It starts with the state of mind, the state of consciousness. Sometimes I bring up the map of consciousness and I'm like, have you heard of this? Let's have a look at this, right? And then I just, in a short 5 to 10 minute conversation, I'm like, look, down here, you hold no power. You don't do anything. You're not capable of doing anything. So how can we get a little more up there so you can move from a place of being inspired and move forward? And then there are these beautiful metaphors, like a lake is an accumulation of raindrops. So how many raindrops are you going to rain into that lake this lifetime? Friend, I feel challenged by the word God. It denotes a nameless male deity. It always says source, or I always say, yes, absolutely. That's why I said earlier on, a God as an combination of the words generation, order, destruction, the universal force at play. So I use the word God outside of any religious or outside of any imaginative, like any creation that has come out of a religious source. However, if somebody views God through that window, keep doing that. That's fine. Like, as long as you devote or believe in a higher force at play, whatever that is, perfect. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to show with you all today, the map of consciousness, and give you a little more insight in how to approach things in vegan activism. Now, this is not something that functions like a recipe. It's not something that functions like a recipe. So when we learn vegan advocacy skills, for example, there's animal activism organizations that have some masterclasses and teach that stuff. And they're like, when they say this, you say that. Great. It gives you a little bit of security, right? To be able to step into activism. It's a great foundation. However, how far has it brought the vegan community? Yes, it has brought us forward. Absolutely. There is changes happening. Absolutely. However, I think we can do much more by choosing that as a foundation, and then on top learning this kind of stuff, right? I'm going to get to your comments in a moment, Cambria. I see them coming in. Now, how do we truly invoke this vegan era? This is where the Freedom Quest, this platform that I've been building and co-creating together with my team for the last, it's been over a year now, and we recently launched. Inside of that platform, there is courses that teach stuff like this, but furthermore, teach like a holistic point of view on how to advocate better. So there is some courses on, foundational stuff like handling objections and engaging. There is also courses that go into public speaking, developing the courage, developing the charisma to do so. And furthermore, there is courses in there that teach you like this inner alignment work, let's call it, so that you can operate from the higher states of consciousness and more naturally influence and inspire people to go vegan and to move to veganism faster. Just gonna take a moment here. I'm gonna close the map of consciousness, go into the comments for a moment. Oh, there's a lot of comments happening. Okay. Cambria says, feel free. Okay, that was the challenge by the word God. I was at the ER. A Jewish man played over me, made me feel uncomfortable. He said that his God to remove what out of my way. I did not have a biological father in my life. Yeah. When it comes to praying to the higher forces, a lot of people need a certain access point to grow belief in it and make it a bit more tangible and translated, right? So whatever I do, and obviously that is based on how triggered you are in, your emotional biological body by these situations, but I automatically go into translation. So if somebody uses a wording of belief into a higher force that doesn't resonate with me, I just translate it. I'm like, we're speaking about the same thing. So that's a little trick I use that I would love for you to try as well. Is it desire to make the world a better place? Is the desire to make the world a better place wrong? It's neither right or wrong. The states of consciousness aren't right or wrong. They are simply a reflection of how much impact, how much ripple one can create from that state of consciousness. So if you're moving from a state of desire, let's feel into it. Actually, like you have this deep desire, right? And you're like, you want the world to go vegan. You see what my body automatically does? Like my fists go up, and I'm like, I'm getting a bit into like a forceful mood, which can happen, and it's okay because it brings forward energy. It's much more energy than, let's say, feeling afraid. Afraid is like, right? So desire and maybe a little bit of anger feels much better than feeling afraid. That's why a lot of people get stuck in it, because they're like, oh my God, I actually have a little more energy. And then they stay there instead of realizing, there's more up there. There's more on the scale to be lived from. So it is not right or wrong. But what I would love to ask you is, how do you feel when you operate from the state of desire? Like, does it come easeful? Does it come joyful? Or does it feel forceful? And does it take your energy? Does it like empty your energy vessel, your cup of, being inspiring, being joyful, being impactful? I think I'm understanding it might require hard work and more consciousness, but I will be there soon. Absolutely. Look, when people talk about the work, right, or the inner work, the inner alignment work, yeah, this is hard work indeed. It does require just your devotion and your attention. The tools are provided. We've got them in the Freedom Quest, and a membership is $17 a month. Like, it's the most affordable thing that I've ever created to make these kind of teachings available to the vegan community. So if you haven't signed up yet, get your ass in there. It's cool. Now, yes, it is challenging sometimes. However, though, you can ask yourself, what's more challenging? Trying to stay in the state of desire and moving veganism forward from desire, or actually starting to magnetize the thought patterns that we had to become vegan into people's realm, right? That's awesome, June. Sounds cool. Peace and balance. Yeah, peace and balance. Like, if somebody meets someone that's in the state of consciousness of acceptance, and by the way, 87% of all humans on planet Earth are below the red line at this moment in time. Almost 90% of all people operate from anger, from fear, from guilt, from shame, from pride. A lot of them also in the vegan community. The people that we know in the world that create impact, the people that we, learn amazing things from. Buddha is one of the examples that comes alive. Buddha was one of the people that managed to enlighten. He managed to transcend out of his body and fully enlighten. And by example, he started teaching that to other people. And who doesn't know the name Buddha, right? So when we get into these higher levels of consciousness, we automatically make decisions, speak words, create ripples that inspire more people to go vegan than when we stay in the lower states of consciousness and we try, right? It's like a trying, it's like a battle. We're fighting. And when has fighting been fun, honestly? It can feel good if you're in pride and you're like, identifying yourself as above your opponent or your enemy. But that's, again, just a trick of the ego. And then it's me versus again. However, we're here for one another. We're here for the animals. We're here for the people so that they can be here for the animals. We're here for the planet, to dance with them. Yeah, you agree. That was the ego. I used to think I'm at a higher state of consciousness, but I just realized I have a look to walk on this path. Yeah, we all do. Honestly, we all do. And through life, there's a lot of information programmed into our systems, into our minds, and it basically takes decluttering. The higher states of consciousness is our natural state of being. That's very important for you to understand. That is where we come from. That is where we go to after this life. The higher states of consciousness is our birthright. It's where we're at when we enter the planet, enter the body. However, everything that happens here on planet Earth, that's why the ascended masters that I sometimes hang out with when I'm in deep meditation or in like sacred medicine ceremonies, the ascended masters, they send us, or like they guide us on planet Earth, because planet Earth teaches us how to dig in the dirt. That's why Earth, dirt, soil, that's where it comes from. It teaches us how to dig through the dirt and how to manage the weight, how to manage the heavy lifting. It's a big thing. It's a big deal being on planet Earth. It's a big challenge. And you're doing amazing. Just being here, you're doing amazing. I feel blissful while I meditate or help others. Yeah, right? That's where we want to come from. We want to feel bliss. We want to feel joy. That's our natural, that's our soul's original state of being. And speaking of meditating, what I would love to do with you all, if no more questions come in, I see all of your love, Cambria, endless jokes, all of this here for all the sentient beings, plant and rock people from the mineral kingdom. I'm safe now with my husband, and we've been, sweet. Sending love to your husband as well. All right. So one more thing that I have for us, because this has been a lot of, absorbing and leaning into and processing. However, the way to get to the higher states of consciousness most of the time is not through absorbing and processing. It is through practicing alignment. So before we go into our meditation segment, which will be a 20-minute meditation, I'll give you some further instructions in a moment. I see Mega posted another comment. I think I'm mostly in between the states, anger, pride, desire, since it's happening and nearly everyone is responsible for it. It feels like I'm living in hell. Wow. That you bring up the word hell is really cool too, because the lower stage of consciousness on the map are also referred to as hell on earth, and the upper states are referred to as heaven on earth. That's what hell actually means. That's where, let's call them satanic or evil forces, are born in the lower states of consciousness. So that's why it feels like you're living in hell on earth, right? You're having a look at what's happening in the environment and you're putting your focus on all the pain and suffering. It looks like hell on earth. That's because the lower states of consciousness are alive in these scenarios. Talking about, let's say, a butcher. I've had some conversations with butchers, and I would guess you have had too. If you get to the core of where they're at on the scale of consciousness, they're really not okay. They're really not okay. And I'm not saying that from they're like mentally crazy. They're actually suffering. They're suffering hardcore. And they are in deep apathy to be capable of doing what they're doing. So when we judge them for that, oh, we punch a wounded dog even harder in the stomach. We punch a wounded dog even harder in the stomach. And there are suicides rates on that. There are studies on how many people that have worked in that are, mentally completely unstable. A lot of them are. So it's easy for us to like judge them, right? And to be like, what you're doing is wrong. But just knowing that those words, they bring them even further from taking action from a courageous point of view. So all we have to do really in order to become truly impactful and invoke a peaceful era on planet Earth is we have to start operating the higher states of consciousness. That's the most important focus for us. Everything else falls into place. We will choose better wordings. We will become easeful and, just flowy in the flow with conversations about veganism. Debates will not be that challenging anymore and drain the hell out of us. They will not. We'll become more alive, more peaceful, and we will start inspiring more people to go vegan. Just in my experience, the people around me, I don't even talk to them about it anymore. And when it comes up, I use a couple of words. I say, look, it's just an embodiment of love and compassion towards animals to me. That's what it's all about. Nothing else. What do you think it's about? Oh, and they come up with like, yeah, but my friend is, and I'm like, yeah, I know. They're also angry that, it happens to the animals, but do you understand what veganism is about? And the moment that point flips, they're like moving towards it faster than I've ever seen. Very sometimes there's an egg that sneaks in with some people, and I don't like it that it does, but at the same time, I'm like, it's hooking in, right? I'd rather have somebody be like a vegetarian plus plus than to be a passionate meat eater. Because from vegetarian to vegan is much easier to inspire than from passionate meat eater to vegan. That is really hard, right? All right. I see more comments for Cambria. I'm so sorry to oh, let me go up a little more. Loving the class. People who missed or don't know what they missed. I know. Yeah. You just wait. There's more and more people tuning in. Not Christ. Sorry by mistake. Oh. Some are children. I also understand. I'm so mad at those people. They are sometimes demons. Yeah. And one thing that I want to highlight here, working as a spiritual facilitator as well, and having had access to bridge the worlds of like demonic entities, different astral realms, and this is pretty spiritual woo woo blah blah. So no need to absorb too much of this. But what I can tell is demons, humans aren't demons. We are a soul attached and linked to a body, and demons live on like lower astral realms and they latch onto us. So it's very important to start differentiating that a human isn't a demon. A demon lives in the lower state of consciousness, but a human never is a demon. We are all divine children of the universe, of source, of God, goddess, all that is. We are all divine children of that. So a demon does not or is not a human. That's two different things. It's very important to see that, because when you start seeing that, it will become easier to judge them less for their actions. And you just see like, that's the garbage that makes you create that choice. That's the state of consciousness that makes you do this. That's why you're not capable of moving forward. Okay. Think he's saved my life. Your husband, beautiful. Guru, guru, guru. Game changing. Yeah. Speaking of game changing, in the past I have run coaching programs, and one of them was called Game Changer. No, Change Maker. Game Changer is the movie. It was called Change Maker. And whilst I was running that program, I have created a set of meditations and a set of practices that are available to anyone online. I will share the links with you. They are on Mixcloud, which is a similar platform to SoundCloud, and they are there to stream for free. And today I would love to do one of these meditations with you, for you to just tune into that feeling of creating impact and pulling in your higher version a little more. So, in order for you to prepare for this meditation experience, ideally use the bathroom. I know I do have to use the bathroom real quick, and then sit yourself down, or you can even lay down comfortably. If you have a couch or a bed available, that would be perfect. And furthermore, connect your device to a speaker or to earphones, so that this audio quality comes in quite nicely. And then we're going to take a 2 to 3 minute break. I'll be using the bathroom. I hope you are too. And then we are going to immerse in this meditation. It's about 20 minutes long. And then after that, we'll finish the class for today. Sounds good? Sweet. Hey,
Thank you.
Francis.
I thought I should say hello. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, I'll hop to the bathroom.
I want to say real quick just that I love everyone, and especially you, June, for leading this wonderful, wonderful class. Thank you, thank you.
I love you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for being here. I wouldn't be leading this class without y'all here. All right, I have to use the bathroom. If you do, please do as well. And then I'll see you back here in 2 minutes.
Brilliant.
All right, friends. So I just want you to know that the meditation is based on a beautiful formula that I also teach inside of a course in the Freedom Quest. It's Joe Dispenza's work. The name might have popped into your consciousness, into your field sometimes. And it's a very powerful, powerful, beautiful way to connect to your higher self, to drop your brain waves, and to just deeper, program the higher states of consciousness into your mind, into this divine instrument we have up in here. So I see best of luck and well done. Francis, if you don't want, or if timing doesn't allow you to join the meditation, you can also do it afterwards. I would love for all of us to do it together, because that always creates a little group energy. But if anyone needs to hop off, I respect that.
Well, I'm definitely joining. I've come this far. It is the middle of the night. So I might fall asleep, but I'm there in full spirit.
Perfect. If you fall asleep during the meditation, do not worry about that. You'll still receive the information. Your ears still hear what is being said, so just join along.
Yeah, magic. Thank you.
Sweet.
I was
Right.
saying well done to the wonderful campaigns for the Indian dogs as well. That was amazing.
Yeah, well done as well to that. I think Mega shared that, right? Oh yeah. Oh, no, Altab. Yes, I missed that comment. Sorry. There's a lot of comments going through. Anyway, I'm going to ask everyone to put themselves on mute. There you go. You have already done that. Again, this meditation will be made available to you, as if you want to practice it later on as well. It's also inside of the Freedom Quest platform. So remember, you get access to those and get also to learn the background of it, the formula, where this type of meditation is coming from and how it truly works. But for now, instead of analyzing it, we are just going to experience it. So I'm going to invite you to gently close your eyes now, and we'll let the meditation take you away. Hey, Trailblazer, it's time to take a moment for yourself. Sit down, feel those seat bones on the ground beneath you. Straighten your spine, top of the head, shooting up like an arrow into the sky. And feel your thighs, your buttocks grounding into the floor beneath you. Use these next couple of minutes to really arrive right here, right now. We'll take a couple of slow in and exhales together to help you do that. Exhale all the air out of your body now. Inhale slow and deep through your nose. And exhale, let it go through your mouth. Inhale slow and deep through your nose. And exhale, let it go through your mouth. One more time, deep and slow through your nose in. And through your mouth out. Keep going in this slow pace and observe how your mind starts calming down with every breath you take. Allow yourself to just sink into your body, letting all the thoughts that occupy your mind float away as if you would be surrounded by an infinite ocean, and every thought is a piece of wood or dirt floating through the ocean, coming closer to you and floating away from you again. Just be. As you are sinking deeper into relaxation, I invite you to surrender into the vision of floating in an infinite ocean even more. it's possible for you to breathe underwater in this scenario. So just allow yourself to be there and inhale and exhale as you're sinking into the infinite depth of the ocean. Observe how your surroundings change from light luminous blue to a more saturated and dark tone of blue. Sink deeper, surrender more, and soften, knowing you're safe, held and supported by the infinite ocean around you. As you sank all the way to the depths of the ocean floor, the dark blue turned into a black. Everything around you fainted into an infinite darkness. And allow yourself right now, with the next breath, to dissolve into the infinite space. Inhale. Exhale, dissolve your feet. Inhale. Exhale, dissolve your legs. Just let them become nothing. Inhale. Exhale and let go of your hips, your lower belly. Let them dissolve into the infinite darkness. Inhale. Exhale, let go of your torso from your belly all the way up to your shoulders and chest. Let it dissolve. Inhale. And exhale, let go of your arms, your hands. Just let them dissolve into nothing. Inhale. And lastly, as you exhale, allow your neck, your head, and your face to dissolve into the infinite nothingness. Just let your whole body go. Let it go. We don't need it where we're going. Now, with the power of your imagination, this creative force, I invite you to picture yourself in a scenario. Use your inner artist to paint a landscape that represents your most empowered, your most inspired, and your most impactful self. Let that painting be painted and observe how these surroundings take shape, with you in it as the hero of the story. Take these next moments to let this scenario, this artwork, develop and evolve, and observe yourself as your most impactful, your most empowered, and your most inspiring self. Keep your attention and awareness on this scenario. As the scenario plays out, as the movie plays in front of your inner eye, allow the feelings that this version of you experiences to be felt by you right now. Identify how this hero of the story feels. And as you know those feelings yourself, allow you to experience them right now. Come on, feel those feelings. Inhale them. And with your exhale, let them spread throughout your whole body. What feelings does your greatest version, your hero self, experience? This is you making contact with the change maker spirit that's living inside of you all the time. So get in touch with that spirit and let yourself feel the spirit move through you. What emotions does it leave in your being? And what energy do those feelings vibrate outwards? Come on, feel them. Inhale them. And spread them through your being and all around your being into the infinite space. The longer you stay in touch with that changemaker spirit, the longer you allow yourself to feel those feelings as if they were your reality, always. The more you stay right there, the more you let that spirit integrate into your being, allowing you to become confident, empowered, unshakable, and a true change maker. Just a little longer. Keep your attention on those feelings. Let them vibrate through your body. No distraction, full focus. Imagine these feelings vibrating through infinity as you generate and experience them right now. Time to let the energy flow and to come back to a calmer and more grounded state of being. Take the next in and exhales. Consciously slow them down. And as you do, allow your body to slowly reappear and manifest itself in the infinite space of that vast, dark ocean. As your body is taking shape again, as you are re-inhabiting your physical vessel, I invite you to always remember the feeling you generate, your inner world, is directly connected to the feeling you vibrate into the outer world. After this immersion, this meditation, I invite you to observe how the feeling you have towards your loved ones, your close ones, your friends, your family, changes. And also I invite you to observe how the feeling you're experiencing as you're connecting to your change maker spirit is available to you everywhere and anytime. With your next breath, invite you to slowly open your eyes again. Welcome yourself back into the physical realm. Have a look around yourself. Have a look at the body. And with a gesture, placing your hands on your heart, allow yourself to shortly express gratitude for immersing in this meditation practice. Welcome back. Well, thank you so much for gifting your time to this practice. Yeah. See, Cambria took the screen on a little journey through the nature world. Thank you for that.
I can't believe how good that meditation was. I saw my partner Sean closed on all the time, and that was just so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, feel free to share in the comments how that was for you. Might be that the mind is a little challenged sometimes and like drops in and out. It might be that it's very easy. It really depends on how practiced one is in changing your state of mind, lowering your brain waves, which is something that you can learn inside of one of the courses in the Freedom Quest as well, how to do that, how to practice that. Also, welcome Sabine. We're at the end of our masterclass today, and I would love to thank you all. This will be made available on the Freedom Quest website shortly, and feel free to share it with your vegan community, with your friends, with everyone you believe and find has benefit from this. You can also rewatch it anytime. I'm sure that like every moment you rewatch it, there will be another moment of like, oh, actually. We've covered a lot before we done the meditation, Sabine. So go and have a look at the recording. I'll be sending it out on my email list as well as on all social media platforms that will be shared. I'm looking forward to welcoming, hopefully, all of you into the Freedom Quest platform. As I said earlier, it is the most affordable way to receive all the teachings and all the insights, both from my side and from an amazing team of vegan teachers. $17 a month to access all of our courses and more upcoming courses. So the Map of Consciousness is a whole module inside of one of the courses. There's much more in-depth explanation about it. There's a meditation module, a breathwork module, a mindful movement module, which I'm currently re-recording. So they're going to be updated within the next month. There is a course on vegan videography, how to have impact as a person behind the camera. There is a course on public speaking, if you like to be more in front of the camera or want to step up into that courageous role as leading with your voice in front of bigger groups. That course will teach you everything you need to know and help you get there. And additionally to that, we have live sessions similar to this meditation practice. There is deep dive live sessions with Q&As, as well as practice sessions with breathwork, with mindfulness, with elevated activism. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you soon inside of the platform. Yay! If you have any more questions, or if you just want to say loves and thanks and all of your beautiful bliss, feel free to either unmute yourself or put it in the comments before we close the call.
I can't help but just be so grateful in this moment, and I'm so thankful for you, friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cambria. Frances might be sleeping. If that's the case, we're just going to let her. And all top things.
I just wanted to ask, Sabine, are you French, perhaps? Do you know, Jen? Just because I know that's a French name.
Sabine could be a French name. Could be France, French. Anyway, I'll be closing the call. Love and gratitude for all of you. We'll all be in touch. And I hope to see you soon in one of the upcoming live sessions in the Freedom Quest. Bye-bye.